History of Filipinos in Hawaii. In 1898, the Spanish-American War ended with the Philippines ceding into the U.S. Later in the early 1900s, Hawaii Sugar Planters Association began to bring Filipinos onto the island to compensate for the loss of workers due to the enforced immigration legislation. Filipinos were promised free travel to Hawaii, a $10 advance, free housing on the plantation, and a guaranteed 3-year job commitment. Many Filipinos took the opportunity. However, many soon discovered the reality of the working conditions and soon left the island. By 1965, with the elimination of immigration restrictions, a new wave of Filipino immigrants arrived on the island, many of Ilocano descent, and settled down. Today, Filipinos make up the largest ethnic minority in Hawaii, incorporating many Filipino traditions and customs into the cultural melting pot on the island. Today, the island has become home to many Filipinos, allowing families to grow roots here. We will be diving deeper into Filipino history with the exploration of local Filipino cuisines.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Janelle Mateo.
My name is Elisa Ray Lauginid.
Hi, I am Christopher Alcaraz.
And hi, my name is Jenica Erin Rumbawa Baroga.
I'm a graduating senior here at HPU. I'm majoring in international studies with a focus on international relations and security. I have 2 minors, one in Japanese and one in hospitality tourism management. If you don't know, I am your chair of the Campus Activities Board, one of the largest student-run organizations on campus that put on really cool events every semester. And I'm also co-chair of the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee here at HPU. We focus on social justice programs here at the university.
I'm a business major with concentration in marketing, and things I like to do, I just like to watch movies, hang out, the usual stuff.
And I am a freshman on business marketing, and I do love surfing, volleyball, and eating out.
I'm majoring in general biology. I'm a freshman here in HPU, and my interests are basically binge watching Netflix shows. That's basically it.
A little bit about myself. I like to listen to music, so I always make really cool Spotify playlists all the time, every single week. I like to go out with friends. I like to go shopping and going to buy coffee every single day, even though I know I could buy it. I can make it myself at home, but it's cool. It's just paying for the vibes. So, yeah. So for me, I was born and raised here. So I've actually never left the island. My parents were the one that immigrated here to Hawaii. I can't remember on the top of my head when they came, but it was definitely before they had my sister, and my sister's 27, so you can do the math a little bit. So quite a bit is when they came to the islands. My family's from Ilocos Norte.
So I actually moved around a lot. So if I were to count the years in whole numbers, I would say about 8 years I've lived here. I was originally born in Cabanatuan, Isabela, Philippines, and then we moved to Manila for a little bit, and then we moved to San Nicolas, Pangasinan, which is also in the Philippines.
I'm the only one in my family living in Hawaii, and I've lived here since August of 2021. We're from Quezon City, where I actually was also born.
I've been in Hawaii for almost about 4 years now. I'm originally from Lawag City, Ilocos Norte, Philippines.
Hi, my name is Malia, and I'll be one of the interviewers.
Hi, my name is Kyle. I'm one of the interviewers and the interviewees.
Hi, I'm Janelle. I'm one of the interviewees, and I'm a senior.
Hi, my name is Jenica. I'm also one of the interviewees.
Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm also one of the interviewees.
Hi, I'm Elisa, and I'm also one of the interviewees.
We're all freshmen.
Us too, right?
Yes. You guys want to explain a little bit of what it is?
Oh, I feel like you should answer this. So this is what we call halo-halo.
So basically, halo-halo means mix. So it's basically a mix of a lot of things, various of
There's
things. It comes with
gulaman.
gulaman,
Yeah.
jelly, coconut, ube for make it special, as well as
Sometimes beans. There's
beans,
in
red
it.
beans.
Yeah, red beans.
Also, it also comes with leche flan.
Yeah.
With I'm pretty sure it's about evaporated milk.
Yeah.
With shave ice. That's
Pretty
the most
much.
important. The shave ice.
Dig in, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mix it. You mix it. Yeah, it's really good. For me, I like it when it's mixed.
That's the
How has Filipino food helped strengthen your ties to the culture? Who wants to answer first?
I mean, I think all my life I've eaten like Filipino food. But I prefer sinigang, adobo. Those are like the most popular ones, and I feel like it's kind of whitewashed now.
I think you're talking about whitewash because the foods like here in Hawaii right now. I mean, it comes with like Filipino taste, but also it mixed with different cultures. Like for example, Mexican culture. They have this kind of like, I don't know. I think it's Hawaiian actually. They have this the food from last time. Caldereta.
Oh,
But it looks beef stew.
Oh, beef stew.
So that's one of the example that is like mixed. It tastes like caldereta, but it looks like beef stew, or it's actually kind of like beef stew. So I think that's what you meant by whitewash. It's like mixed, so it's not really authentic. So yeah.
Growing up, like I didn't really have much connection to the culture besides food, and I feel like food is a universal language. So I don't speak Tagalog or Ilocano, but for me, when I share Filipino food with my family, I feel like I'm reconnecting to my roots. I grew up making lumpia with my grandma. We would wrap the wrappers, put the meat inside, put the banana inside, and that's how we would bond. She would tell me stories about how her life was like back in the Philippines, which is like my favorite time during New Year's, because we would always eat lumpia at every single party, especially New Year's. And also my dad, he would always make Filipino food. So when my friends ask me like, where do you find the best Filipino food on island? I'm like, I don't know, because I only ever eat it at home. And it's like, it's legit, and you trust it when like, someone who's actually Filipino makes the food, and you can tell, because I feel like for Filipinos, food is the biggest thing about our culture, and something we always like to share. Because for Filipino parties, you have balon, that like they always make a lot of food on purpose, is because we want them to enjoy it, but also to take home too for your family who couldn't make it. So food is a very big part, and sharing, and it's also filled with love as well too. So.
Lumpia kind of came from different countries too, like China, or like Vietnam, that kind of stuff. So I would say like banana lumpia. I feel like for sure that's like Filipino.
At HPU, they have like some Asian cuisine sometimes at Sam Choi. Is that like a good reflection of Filipino food, or is it very like completely off?
They had chicken adobo once in Pier 9, and I was really excited because I've been craving adobo when I got here, but it wasn't adobo. It had peas and it had like celery, and I was very confused. But it had the taste, it had like the, what do you call that? The essence of an adobo, but it wasn't adobo at all. Like there was peas. Like I've never seen peas in adobo, and the celery.
So probably it's not lacking of things. It's just like putting something else. Yeah.
Something else.
Okay.
What my parents make, or like back in the Philippines, is very different, and it's more delicious back home and like from my parents. And I know like they try to include like Filipino foods here, which is really good, but it's not the authentic Filipino you want to like have your first time like tasting what Filipino foods is like. So I would say like go out like in the island and try to see if there are Filipino foods around that's like authentic.
If you were to like look for actual restaurants, there's Max. I feel like that's the closest authentic Filipino food you'd go to. This is where, it's not sponsored, but this is where our halo halo came from. Max.
So I guess going with the HPU theme, do you guys feel that like Filipino culture is represented well here on campus? Like, have they been doing a good enough or have they been effective at like really showcasing what Filipino culture is like?
I can answer that. So this is my 4th and final year at HPU, and actually up until last year we did have a Filipino club. So most of the Filipinos knew each other just because like we know when someone's Filipino, you just know, you're like, oh yeah, you're Filipino. And you're like, oh yeah. And so it was a really big club, very active. And they would even invite friends who are not from the community, and I think that's a very important thing about cultural clubs, is that it's not just closed to the people in your culture. It should be also open to people who want to learn more and are open-minded. So I think I would love to see the Filipino club be revitalized if you guys are interested. But it has not been active this past year just because everyone else who was in the club graduated. But yeah, I think by having cultural clubs like this that are specific to certain countries and cultures are very important, and also build a sort of community within HPU, because coming from a place where people do not share the same culture as you, it's important to build that sort of camaraderie with others who understand you and come from the same background.
You can tell if someone's Filipino. So an example is like Jenica and like Chris and Princess. Like I could tell right away they were Filipino, and like just like the background of being Filipino, or like even if you're not from the Philippines, you're just you have the blood of being Filipino, like you can feel at home because there's still like a connection between you guys.
Like I had to look for people during orientation. Like I only know my friend Heather. I only knew her and Christopher. We both went to the freshman orientation. It's like, where's all the Filipinos? You would expect it because we're in Hawaii, and it's like Filipinos are pretty like prominent. Like they live here. So I was just expecting a lot more. Like I think a couple weeks after I actually settled in HPU, I met Princess. She's the lady who's filming us right now. I met her. I was like, oh, are you Filipino? And like, yeah, we just started connecting. It was just almost like, oh, I'm glad like you have somewhat similar struggles that I've been through. We like talked about like trauma as kids. Yeah, and I'm like, oh wow, okay, so at least I'm not the only one who experienced this type of thing. So I honestly felt really connected with her, and like that's how we became friends really quick, I think, through like experiences.
Luckily I was able to grow up here, and so majority of my friends were Filipino, but coming to HPU, it was very jarring to find out that I was not only the only Asian, but also the only Southeast Asian, but also the only Filipino. So that kind of minority group just got smaller and smaller as I got through my classes, because I study political science and international studies, and a lot of the narrative is very European. And so it was actually the first time where I was taught by a Southeast Asian professor who talked about my culture. This is the first year they ever offered a Southeast Asian politics class, and I've been here for 4 years, and I've studied in school for almost 12, and it was very touching. And I think it's those really small things about representation, about finding people who are like you, because you never really know. There are other people who may not understand your struggles, because I think there are certain issues that are very specific to the Filipino community and identity. So I'm just really grateful to be able to have a community where I know that they've had similar struggles to me, where I know they might have the same family problems as me, but are very large families, where you have like 15 cousins. It's very normal. So it's nice to be able to find other Filipinos, because you're like, hey, I know you're Filipino, but it's awkward to ask. But I feel like you should always, approach someone who you feel like you can be friends with, because you never know what will happen. I mean, look at all of us here today. We were all just connected and talking about this experience, and we've all had a lot of similar kind of life situations and everything. So, yeah.
Salamat po.
Thank you. Ooh, yes, I can definitely talk about this. So going back to this idea of being too American for Filipinos and being too Filipino for Americans, that was like my biggest thing. And the way that I kind of worked through that was through writing, research, and revitalization. So I've always written about decolonization. I've always written about what it was like growing up as a Filipino in the diaspora. Diaspora means to have a large group of people move from one place to another. And so that's where I came from, because I'm not very connected to my culture, and it's very sad. But, you know, I don't blame my parents for that, because a lot of, you know, Filipino kids who grew up here, they were told you got to speak English, that you can't get a job unless you do that, or like you don't want to be put into ESL. And I'm like thinking back at it, I'm like, why is it bad to know both languages? And right now, like, it's very heartbreaking that, you know, I see people who are Filipino, like uncles and aunties, but I can't talk to them in the language that we're both supposed to speak. And, you know, I've never really had the opportunity to learn Tagalog or Ilocano. And I feel like if I speak it to my family, they're like, oh, you said it wrong. And I'm like, but I'm trying, you know? So I think, you know, my Filipino aunties and uncles want me to be American. But for me, I want to learn more about my culture. And so through research, I learned that, you know, during the colonial period, that a lot of our culture has been erased and we've been told to be more westernized. And because of that, now I'm still seeing the effects of it, because my parents have perpetuated this kind of culture without knowing. And I feel like we shouldn't blame our parents for that. It's something that you have to kind of heal from. So right now I'm doing a lot of research on the Filipino-American experience and what it's like to grow up in a diaspora and how to get reconnected. Because I think, you know, people are like, oh, you're not Filipino enough. But what is being Filipino? You know, I think it's good to just be. And so fighting that imposter syndrome and being like, it's okay, I'm Filipino, and that's all I need to do. I can learn the culture, I can learn how to cook the dishes, I can learn the language and everything, but just at the very beginning when you're born as Filipino, I think that's enough.